Success in Ecuador. From an efficient and equity perspective, success have to fulfill two conditions to justify their existence. First, from an efficient prepared success should include only minimum shift in the consumption of goods and resources in society. Uncles, they are introduced in order to research to existence of positive externality associated with the consumption of the society goods. The second, from a quickly perspective, the poor should be the main beneficiary from success, and linked to high income group should be small, inferior group with a negative income elasticity will fulfill such a condition. Over the past couple of years, the government of Ecuador have eliminated major direct and indirect subsidies, which had catered to the rich. The most proper subsidies to be eliminated were the ones from petroleum products. Previously, the price of petroleum had been fixed at the cost of domestic products and not at its international opportunity valued. In the one subsidy is the water, that to the decentralized distribution system of water is almost impossible to calculate the explicit amount of water subsidy in Ecuador. According to the Banco del Estado, there are some 189 entities supplying potable drinking water to households in Ecuador. Costs supply the water tariff and the collections, the tariff subsidy between the company so that it would be necessary to evaluate the rights ship for every single company, conduct individual calculation of the loan marginal cost, and derive company-specific subsidy. Such endeavor goes beyond the scope of this analysis. The electricity. In Excel, the Ecuadorian Electricity Company adopted a complicated tariff scheme in June 1993, which subsidies the resident sector by rubles, cover long graduate tariff structure, with the unique price for kilowatt, progressive increment from 70.5 sucres to 240 sucres in 12 steps. Most unique prices are lower than the long run margin cost, estimated by INOCEL to the 189 sucres per kWh. Only the extreme increment use of more than 1 kilo pay a price with about long run marginal cost. The other subsidy in Ecuador is a gas. Cooking gas is a heavily subsidized in Ecuador today. In 1994, consumers paid only about 35% of the import price of cooking gas, having a strong fiscal impact as most of Ecuador gas consumption stems from foreign sources. The government planned several times to remove the subsidies and substitute it with a target income support, but this plan never materializes. The large part of the subsidy benefits the resident sector on only gas. In small subsidies, the government estimates the total subsidy to have reached 120 million in 1994, a figure which we almost exactly reproduce when we use the living start measurement service and the derived subsidies. Per household has their time the household expenditure. Wherever the past year have shown that gas consumption grows very fast at the current low price, as gas is not only used for cooking but also heating or car fuel.
Overall assessments. None of the above described subsidies fulfill to the classifying criteria with allowing above. None of them corrects to the poor, and the only two of them are dead. In places subsidy for water is the most unequally distributed, followed by the largest subsidy, electricity. The two largest subsidies for electricity and gas are also the ones which are the most destructive for the economic perspective. Studies from Other countries have shown that both price and income electricity for these energy sources can be quite the substantial, especially if leakage from residential to commercial users is possible. Housing subsidies. By the Ecuadorian Housing Bank, the Banco Ecuatoriana de Vivienda, are difficult to estimate by in account the safety assumed that they do not reach the poor. Two types of subsidies currently exist. First, not one housing loans are recovered. The non-recovery rate in 1945 was 4.416%. Second, an early charge of current debtors benefit from a long period in which interests were subsidized. BBVA only raised the interest rate to market level in 1941, and before at fixing interest rates and below market level of the implicit society item in the inflationary environment. These hidden societies are not shared by the poor but the middle class. Has a long time policy BEB fast regulate a minimum household income had a precondition for housing abroad, being a function of the
Traveler rules are divided into two: airport and land travel. It's necessary to emphasize that person effects are considered to be the good that accompany the traveler or the family group, providing that due to the quantity or value, they are not considered commercial, that is, they are not taxable. Traveler by airport, medication, vitamin and food supplement. Is a case of medication, they must be accompanied by the responsible national or foreign medical prescription. For the case of food supplement, maximum 4 kilograms. Product for body use, up to a certain size per container, whether for person use or group of people. In the case of passenger over 18 years, maximum 3 liters of alcoholic beverages, 20 packs of cigarettes, or 20 youths, 1 pound of tobacco, and 25 units of cigarettes or cigarettes. When the some container exceeds 3 liters of alcoholic beverage, 1 point of tobacco, or 25 units or cigarette, be taxed in proportion to the different not exempt. Traveling by airport. For 2-1 arrivals to Ecuador by air, they should consider that they can't enter clothing and personal grooming and journey of to a fishing hunter nay or use to consolate accessories for video game and desktop print up to 300 nay or use. Note: it is also considered as person effect that accompany the passenger a good or a group of goods, not especially about and that has no restriction but valued quantity or size was valued does not exceed 50-100. Traveling by land. There are person effects that accompany the individual traveler or family group, considered as loss of their quantity or value cannot be considered commercial. the following is eaten, whether net or used. Maximum their pack of 3 part of cigarettes. Good for professional use. Tool and equipment necessary for the performance or function or work activity of the traveler meet their special company equipment, suitcase, bat, or other that serve to transport luggage, video, music, or data storage units. Kitchen utensil, not electric, that can be transportation by one person, and 3 kitchen that are electronic and portable instruments used for gardening. And use of camera and or video game, cell phone or satellite. In medicines for person use in the case of medicine containing psychotropic substance.
The recession should ease. The Ecuadorian economy, traditionally driven by public spending, fueled by oil revenues, is expected to remain in recession in 2017. The dollarization of the economy since 2000 has helped macroeconomic stability, but falling oil prices and the appreciation of the dollar since 2015 have exacerbated the country's fragilities. Competitiveness, inefficiency, high cost of public services are expected to increase, but they will be limited by OPEC's agreement. Moreover, imports are expected to grow modestly, reflecting the weak dynamics of consumption and investment. Household consumption will still be sluggish because of wage freeze, rising taxes, increased poverty, and underemployment. Inflation should remain limited, thanks to a strong dollar and a weak domestic demand. Public investment is expected to remain anemic. The reason is backed by government's necessity. The same tends to favor politically important social spending rather than capital spending. Besides that, the volatile legal framework and the appreciation of the dollar against other currencies in the region may also daunt private investment. The public deficit gets better, but the debt should be monitored. The new president, Lenín Moreno, inherited a challenged economic environment, marked by an increasing public debt, heightened by the widening budget deficit linked to the fall in oil revenue. Additionally, after the strong earthquake of 2016, reconstruction works are also necessary. Public spending is expected to increase by 5% between 2016 and 2017, and tax revenue by 8.9%. There are two opposite trends. On the one hand, the reduction in infrastructure spending, especially in reconstruction, and the gradual increase in oil revenues will lead to an improvement in the public accounts. On the other hand, during his election campaign, Lenín Moreno promised to increase social spending. Currently, public debt does not exceed the constitutional limit of 40% of the GDP, thanks to a recent methodological revision. Tenuous current account surplus. Despite the decline in oil prices, the country recorded a trade surplus of 1.6 billion in 2016. The current account is expected to remain in surplus in 2017, thanks to weak imports. The balance of services will remain in deficit, with freight cost and oil sector services payment to foreign companies exceeding tourist revenues. The same could be said for the income balance, which is suffering from significant capital outflows related to a foreign investment and debt. The capital account will be supported by bilateral Chinese financing, 2 billion after earthquake, for example, but FDI will remain relatively low. Finally, the fiscal and external deficit remain the main challenge. Increasing fiscal revenues from high oil prices allowed a very supportive fiscal policy since 2008. However, the country failed to build a counter-cyclical fund, and current lower oil prices compared to the levels of 2015 have revealed the unusual of the public spending. Access to international capital markets is limited since the voluntary default in 2008. The economy is fully dollarized, which ensures inflation expectations and largely reduces transfer and currency risk. However, it limits monetary policy, and the central bank cannot act as lender of last resort. Thus, albeit broadly sound, comfortable capital ratios and good profitability, the banking system is particularly vulnerable to liquidity shocks. The Fed's tapering will therefore impact negatively the national banking system, credit growth, and liquidity available in the economy.
Overall assessments. None of the above described subsides fulfill to the classifying criteria with allowing above. None of them corrects to the poor, and the only two of them are dead. In places subside for water is the most unequally distributed, followed by the largest subsidy, electricity. The two largest subsidies for electricity and gas are also the ones which are the most destructive for the economic perspective. Studies from other countries have shown that both price and income electricity for these energy sources can be quite substantial, especially if leakage from residential to commercial users is possible. Housing subsidies. By the Ecuadorian Housing Bank, the Banco Ecuatoriana de Vivienda, are difficult to estimate by in account the safety assumed that they do not reach the poor. Two types of subsidies currently exist. First, not one housing loans are recovered. The non-recovery rate in 1945 was 4.416%. Second, an early charge of current levels benefit from a long period in which interests were subsided. BBVA only raised the interest rate to market level in 1941, and before at fixing interest rates and below market level of the implicit subsided item in an inflationary environment. These hidden subsidies are not shared by the poor but the middle class. Has a long time policy, BEB, fast regulate a minimum household income had a precondition for housing abroad, being a function of the size